said that the first time he made a shot, it took him from Mike to Michael Jordan. By the time everybody else gave up, Mike kept going. By the time everyone else was looking at the clock and thinking they won, he kept playing. And every time his team thought that it was over, he'd make a shot that would revive their hope. The reason the hands went up slower in identifying yourself as a prodigy is because we believe we have such a long way to go before we are extraordinary. And then you miss one, and you think you missed it, so you stop. So because back here you didn't make it, now all your shots is up close. And if you make it from a certain spot, go back higher. And if you make it from that spot, then you realize, hold on, this may be too low of a rim.
Now announcing the coach of the Cashleets, Ashley Kirkwood.
All right. I heard we had some Cashleets in the building. Let's go! Man, look at this. Woo. All right. Are y'all ready to have some fun? Y'all ready to get coached? Y'all ready to be on Team Cashleets? Y'all ready to get after every goal? Y'all ready to win every game? Y'all ready to defeat every opponent? I'm just trying to see if I got backup in the room or not. I just want to make sure y'all ain't tired, because I ain't seen nobody in the gym at around 5 a.m. or so when I was up in there looking for y'all. All right. Let's play some ball. Let's play some ball. Y'all know I'm from Chicago, right? So I was studying one of my mentors recently, Michael Jordan. And it was so interesting to me because I watched the documentary, The Last Dance. Anybody seen that? Say, I have. But it was crazy because the first time I watched it, I was like, this is a really good documentary. Okay, that's it. But then I watched it again in preparation for this event because I knew that I had to be a basketball coach this weekend. And then when I watched it the second time, I didn't watch it as a spectator. I watched it as a scientist. And what I was trying to figure out is, why do people say Michael Jordan is the best athlete in the world? And the first time I figured out, like, he'd won some games. Like, I'm not very athletic, so if I use any athletics things wrong and you're like a super Mike fan and a historian, take it up with Chris Kirkwood, not Ashley Kirkwood. He looking good in that green, trying to distract me. I'm focused. Focus. That green had me messed up. I was like, not on opening day, baby. I'm trying to focus. So I watched The Last Dance, first as a spectator, secondly as a scientist, and I was trying to figure out what are the key ingredients of someone who has mastered their craft to the level of world acclaim. At one point, Michael Jordan was the most famous person in the world. Nationality didn't matter. Gender didn't matter. In fact, even if you didn't like sports, you know Michael Jordan. And I was like, well, God, how can someone be that great? And I was like, well, it must have been that he was born with some supernatural ability. Like, that had to be it. But when I was watching The Last Dance the second time, what I discovered was that every time Mike got great and greater and greater and greater, it was because he took a particular shot. Sometimes he'd miss, sometimes he'd make it, but every time he took a shot. And the first time I watched it, I didn't catch this, so I had to watch the documentary several times. I rented a suite at the Four Seasons because obviously where else would I study athletics other than the Four Seasons in a suite? And I was watching it and I was alone. I don't like going nowhere without my man, let me just tell you. Chris didn't even think I'd make it through the night, but I did. I did one night, and that second night I was like, baby, you and Christelle, come on to the suite. I made it one night. But I was watching it and I was like, wow, I didn't catch this. The first time I watched it, I didn't see it. But when you watch as someone who's looking for lessons instead of just looking to be entertained, you learn so much more. That was a nugget. So with the second time, I realized that as he was telling the various parts of this documentary about his extraordinary career, he told it in terms of shots. He said that the first time he made a shot, it took him from Mike to Michael Jordan. Think about that. Because if your name is Mike, there's a whole lot of Mikes in the world. But if every time people talk about you, they address you by your full name, it's because they want to make sure that they don't get you confused with anybody else. And he said there was a shot that he took that took him from Mike to Michael Jordan. And I was like, okay, that's a nugget, pause, let me rewatch that part. Because when you're watching as a scientist, you're not watching for speed. You're watching for substance. So I rewatched that part, and then he said he took another shot. Well, no, after the first shot. It was a shot, and he was either in high school or college. One of the athletic buffs can probably tell you in the back. But high school or college, and he takes his shot, and it takes him from Mike to Michael Jordan. So he goes to his coach. And I was like, this is so interesting. I've never met a world-class athlete that didn't have a coach. In fact, there's not a single team in the NBA that they let be self-run. Is that right? Can you think of one? Even though all the athletes are absolutely spectacular on their own. In fact, sometimes they're bigger in stature, might, and muscle than their coach. Yet and still, the NBA, billion dollar company, says absolutely not. We will not let this team of coordinated experts, individuals in physical ability well beyond the average human operate without a coach to coordinate their efforts. So he goes to his coach and he says, Coach, I want to be great. And the coach looks at him dead in his eyes and says, you have to work hard. Mike looks back at his coach. Now, this is Mike before the NBA, right? Y'all with me? Say with you. He looks back at his coach and he says, I work as hard as anybody else. His coach looked at him with a slight chuckle, I imagine, and says, you have to work harder. Mike looks back at his coach. He pauses for a minute, but then he looks back at his coach. He doesn't complain. He doesn't contemplate. He doesn't talk about the soft life. He doesn't say, well, what about balance? And what about this? And what about that? And what about that? Because he asks the coach how to be great, not how to be average. He looked back at his coach and he said, you'll never meet anybody who works harder. Now, in that moment, if he had another name, like a middle name, I imagine he went from Michael Jordan to Mike Vente Jordan or something, because at that point, he became a champion. And after that point, Michael Jordan also simultaneously became a leader, not by deliberate choice, but by activity. Many of you are like, man, I want my clients to follow me. I want this to happen. I want that to happen. Well, leaders lead from the front. So you got to give them something to follow. And the truth of the matter is, contrary to popular belief, Michael Jordan was simultaneously seen as the most famous person in the world and the biggest beep hole in the world at the same time by those who really knew him. Many of his teammates said they simultaneously disliked him, but respected his craft so much that they had no choice but to follow him, because in the grand scheme, when they look over the course of their time playing alongside a champion, they got better. When he was first drafted to the Chicago Bulls, they hoped that he would revive the team. The Chicago Bulls was trash, y'all. Let's be clear. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say trash, because I actually never watched one of their old games. But They weren't doing good. They weren't making money. According to the NBA, they weren't making that money. When they recruited Mike, he was the 3rd round draft pick, not first. If I were to name the 1st round draft pick, I bet, although he's famous, everyone in this room would not know him. Raise your hand if you don't know Michael Jordan. Not a single hand went up. 3rd round draft pick. You don't have to be first to start. You can get there. And so he gets to the Bulls, and immediately after he's drafted, they're simultaneously excited, but then they have some naysayers as well. And the naysayers are saying, yeah, they got this kid, it's cool. No way one guy can carry a whole team. This guy's a rookie. He's not gonna revive Chicago. But then Mike started making certain shots. And what I found so interesting is the shots that Mike made were called clinchers. Is that right? The clinch shot. Sure, we'll go with it. So basically, what it means is in the 4th quarter, with only a small amount of seconds on the clock, he would make a winning shot. He made the shot in a clinch. The reason he's the best player in the world is not because he had the most average points of any player who's ever played. It's because he made the most clincher shots. Meaning, by the time everybody else gave up, Mike kept going. By the time everyone else was looking at the clock and thinking they won, he kept playing. And every time his team thought that it was over, he'd make a shot that would revive their hope. We're in the 4th quarter, y'all. I don't know who came here thinking they weren't going to keep going, thinking they weren't going to keep winning, thinking that it was too late to hit their sales goals. But the way you become a champion is you do it in a clincher. And that's why he's the greatest athlete in the world. But I needed something more because, you know, us experts, we like frameworks. So I was sitting here watching this documentary, and you know I had the Four Seasons working child. They had to bring me my hot teas and they say I'm complicated and I'm a little bit difficult, but I just like it how I like it because I've worked too hard to get where I'm at to take second best. So I like my stuff a certain way. And as I was watching this documentary, I started feeling a little bit better about myself, Dad, because you know they call me difficult, but I figured out your girl's just like Mike. So I had the Four Seasons bring me my stuff, and when they did it wrong, they called me and said, Mrs. Kirkwood, we are unbelievably apologetic. We realized when you arrived, your room wasn't ready. And I said, you know what? This is just unacceptable. And I was like, you know what, I'm going home because I only came here to relax. I live in Johns Creek and I can go there anytime I want. It's a great place, but I came here to relax. But if you all don't have my room ready, I'm just gonna go home. He said, well, is there anything we can do to make you stay? I said, let me think. Because there's typically always an offer I can make. I said, you know, I will stay if I can enjoy my rest time at the spa. I needed a spa day anyways, because, you know, before events, you're supposed to do spa days and relax. I relax a little bit differently. I don't relax like I need to be totally off and I can't think of anything. Some people do that. That's cool. But what I learned in studying athletes is all you need to do is what's called deliberate rest. It doesn't mean a spa day. It doesn't mean you turn everything off and you don't talk to anyone. If that's how you engage, that's how you engage. But every professional has their own definition of rest. When you know yourself, you know how you need to rest. So I get back to the story with the Four Seasons. So I tell the guy I got to spend at the spa day. He said, would it work if we give you a facial and a body massage while you wait, just so you're not too stressed? I was like, oh, I don't know. Is the spa remodeled? Because I know you all, last time it was kind of dated when I was here. He's like, oh, we fully remodeled. I was like, oh, well, I'll have to try the new spa. I'll give it a chance, absolutely. He was like, well, thank you so much because we see you are a Platinum Amex member and it just means a lot, the partnership. I was like, I just got that card last week. Trying to act like I've been here before, but y'all, your girl was lit. I was like, hey, wait till I get my money right. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, yes, Platinum Amex, of course. Did you see I have Platinum and Gold? Of course, yes. I'll be sure to tell Amex you've done a great job here today, sir. So then I get to my room. They finally get me in my room after my spa day. Child, I had a time, met up with a friend I hadn't seen in a while, was relaxing, had my feet up, I listen to books when I get massages. When I'm preparing for an event, I like to leverage my time. The masseuse was kind of irritated by that. He's like, ma'am, you're supposed to be relaxing. I was like, sir, you're supposed to be rubbing. Just do what you got to do. I'm going to do what I got to do. I ain't back there telling you how to do your thing. Don't be up here telling me how to do my thing, you know what I mean? So I get my massage, all of that. Then I get to the room, I order some food. The food ain't right. So I call them, I'm like, hey, the food isn't right. Y'all, they sent 4 people to my room from like 3 departments. And then I find out Netflix didn't work. They sent a whole tech director to my room. They all in the room, they're like, Mrs. Kirkwood, you're not paying for nothing today. You just stay here, you do whatever you gotta do, we're gonna take it all off. And you know what I thought? I've been using my little debit card so long. People mess up with that little debit card, they either refund me or tell me good riddance. But as soon as I got access to a different club, everything changed. Because I was able to use the affiliation of myself in the club to get opportunities I wouldn't have got otherwise. My girl Queen, who's in the mastermind, called me and said, or maybe it was a DM, I don't remember, call DM, probably a DM. She DM'd me and said someone saw her speaking at this event and they told her that they were big fans of the brand, and so she got some meetings. That's right, Queen, ain't it? Because of affiliation with the club. So, bro, didn't you tell me someone saw you were speaking at a Speak Your Way to Cash event, and then they made a little call, a little something, and they said, oh, because of the access in the club. See, oftentimes, because you got to go through some hoops to get on certain teams, we think it means we ain't supposed to do the team, when really we're just supposed to get good enough to get admission. Amex wasn't lowering their standards for me. I had to come up. For all of you who sell services, is that anyone in the room? We got any service-based businesses in the room? It should be about everybody. Let me help y'all out. Client can't work with you. Client don't want to keep working with you. Your price is too high. It done went up. Whoa. They got to come up. Or they can move on. Because your club has standards. So, Four Seasons wiped away half of our fees. I don't know what I paid, but it definitely wasn't the full bill at all. And at the end of my time there, I was sitting back, and I had my husband. This is where bougie gets real, because all this stuff looks real nice. I don't set up nothing. I do more of the intellectual direction of all of this. The physical stuff I leave to my man because he's strong. So I go to the Four Seasons, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, sir, the only problem with me going to the spa is that I actually need a whiteboard set up in my room, and my husband's here to set that up, but this man has things to do. He runs a very big company. So he can't be playing around with y'all. He was like, oh, Miss Kirkwood, what we gonna do? We'll give him a boardroom so he can set up your stuff, so when you're done with the spa, in case your room isn't set up, we'll have you in the boardroom. But if your room is set up, your husband can leave. Our team will set up your stuff in your room exactly as you like it. We'll do whatever you need. I was like, great, because I took my Lux Mastermind members to the Four Seasons to learn what luxury standards are. And the definition of luxury is the absence of worry. The absence of worry. And in preparing for this event, I studied 3 things. I studied worry, stress, and anxiety. And here's what I learned. Worry is in the mind. It deals with your thoughts. Worry is when you have repeated negative thoughts over time caused by an external stressor. That's worry. Stress lives in the body. It's a physical manifestation of worry. Stress and worry actually have positive and negative effects on you, and it depends on how you process them. But then that anxiety is when it gets tricky, because anxiety is the combination of both stress and worry together. It is a physical and mental situation. And when stress is chronic, that's when you have pain and disease that results. So when the definition of luxury is the absence of worry, and that's the standard. What up, virtual Zoom room? Monica, I see you in there, girl. I'm so glad you got in. Shout out to you for sending me that Instagram DM. Glad to see you in the chat. Hey, Auntie Riri and Cassandra. Virtual is lit. Virtual gonna be lit this whole time. Get your tight fingers ready. Stretch your fingers, virtual. Stretch your fingers. So that's the absence of worry. So I'm in this room. All my stuff is set up. I got more carts and trays than it looks like 20 people in this room. I got all my carts, my trays, my teas, all my stuff. And then I go to my whiteboard, and I start mapping out Michael Jordan's career chronologically. And I write out all the key players, and I'm trying to look for clues and cues, and I'm really looking to see what's the framework for championship? And what I discovered is that when you look at champions and you look at the greats, there are 3 types of players on the court at all time in different roles. 3. And there are also 3 types of people in the world at all times playing different roles. Y'all want to know what they are? Yeah. Somebody say 3. Now, this is a big secret. This was not in the documentary The Last Dance. If they repeat it and use it, they got to pay me my royalties because I am a lawyer and I'm serious about my stuff. Y'all want to know what they are? Say 3. Y'all want to know the secret? Say, tell us. These are the 3. All right. They got the score game going over there right now. You have your prodigies. You have your players. And you have your pessimists. At any given point in the story, and Michael Jordan telling his story, and the things that I was researching for him, by all accounts, he would be seen as a prodigy. He started relatively young, left college, went to the league. He was young, he was ambitious, and he was in the league for a while. He would be, by all accounts, a prodigy. And I looked up a definition of a prodigy, and it's a young person who has extraordinary gifts and talents. And I thought to myself, would Michael Jordan have been a prodigy without any efforts of his own? Yes or no? I'm seeing some yeses, I'm seeing some no's. Let's do it again. Raise your hand if you think he would have been a prodigy without any of his own efforts, like he's born a prodigy. Raise your hand for yes, and drop yes in the chat. Okay, awesome. Raise your hand if you think it took some effort for him to become a prodigy. Okay, awesome. Raise your hand and say yes in the chat if right now you think that you are a prodigy. The hands went up slower. Now I'm going to tell you why. And some hands didn't go up at all. They're like, I don't know what to say. I cannot get this wrong. I'm just meeting this lady. This is my first event. They ain't tell me nothing about no smoke, no fire, no all of this. You know what I mean? The reason the hands went up slower in identifying yourself as a prodigy is because we believe that although we are great, we have such a long way to go before we are extraordinary that we can't call ourselves prodigies now. But in preparing for this event, my clients know, like, I'm a reader. I'm a lawyer. I read. I say that because I met someone recently, and it was another mentor of mine, and he was like, hey, do you do books? I was like, do I do books? He's like, are you a reader? I was like, yes. I'd never been asked that before. He was like, no, do you read? And I guess I thought of the opposite. Is like some people are like, no. I guess I could have said, like, no, I don't read. That would have been bad, though, considering I was a lawyer. All my clients would have been like, I want my money back right now. The reason why your hand went up slower is because we believe that in order to be a prodigy, you have to be born with it. It's some supernatural ability. It's some insane thing that happens to you. It's some gift from God where God is literally like, you are born and there is a silver spoon that's going to come out of your mouth and your parents are going to know that you are the destined child. Because we make people like Mike mythical figures, not people like us. But in watching his story, what I realized is he decided he was going to be a prodigy, and thus he was. Because, and I want to help you out with this, because there's a body of work called The Science of Future Self. And these are scientists that study how you can live the most prosperous, peaceful, wealthiest life right now, no matter where you're at. And the Science of Future Self says that instead of working towards a goal, meaning I'm going to work to have $1 million and one day I'll have $1 million, you start at the goal and you work from the goal. Let me show you the difference. Towards a goal is, when I get $1 million business, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna invest in my business. I'm gonna hire a team. I'm gonna do all the things. I'm gonna get some help. I'm gonna do this. Working from a goal is, I am a $1 million CEO. And really, Enno helped us out because Enno was like, 6, 7 figures. I mean, so small. Next time we meet, we need to be talking about 8, 9, 10 figures. So I talked to my dad and I was like, Dad, we know people that have $100 million companies. It's nothing. Would they come and talk to Lux? He was like, of course he will. I was on the call with him the other day and we'll get him in the room. And that's why you also can't have clients that are weak. Because your clients push you too. If you're the lump sum of everyone you're around and you spend a whole lot of time doing client services, anyone else, raise your hand, then you gotta have the right clients. Because it affects you too. Well, not today. You get off that doggone call, you like, shoot, let me check my bank account. Am I still, Jesus, I feel like it may be going down. You gotta be careful. Is it real or is it real? Say real. Can we be real or I gotta be fake? I gotta act like, I can be real, say real. I can coach y'all for real, say coach me. Y'all ain't gonna get mad, say we ain't. Y'all ready to be great, say great. All right, I just gotta make sure. Because this ain't your average opening, right? So the science of future self says that it goes like this. Be, do, have, in that order. B, I run a $1 billion brand. We coach the absolute best experts in the world. They say things like, Coach, I'm just trying to figure out how to scale faster because as the clients come, I gotta make sure I keep my marriage right and tight because I love that man. They say things like, Coach, I had a few people leave the company, some team members left, and it really got me down. But you know what I did, Coach? I went and hired 5 or 6 more. They say things like, life was life, and I lost some people, and it really rocked me. But at the end of the day, I realized I'm going to take this pause, and I'm going to deal with my mental health, and I got a therapist. And then I'm going to get back at it because I'm not doing it for me. They say things like, thank God for every trial I went through. Because ain't no way I could run a business that has employees that have their own issues if I'm not strong enough to lead. Leaders carry. When you look at Michael Jordan, what was so great and why even his team members that were mad at him had to really like him is because at the end of the day, Mike didn't mind carrying the game. When their confidence was off, when they lost Scottie Pippen and they asked him in an interview, Mike, what you gonna do without Scottie? Scotty's your right-hand man. How many of y'all have had someone in your company that was your right-hand person? They helped you make all the money. You put everything into them, and then they left. Raise your hand. Anyone else? Can we be real? Y'all said I could coach you. I'm just making sure you all right. They left you. They didn't leave you. You helped them accelerate so good. They saw a different version of themselves. They respected you so much. They didn't want to crowd your space. They knew they couldn't commit. So they didn't even want to mess with you. And God loves you so much that every single person that ain't supposed to be with you leaves you because it would hurt them to stay. Because he don't really play about you like that. You thought they left you. They just leveled you up. When they asked Mike about losing Scottie, and we're going to talk about Scottie because that boy was wild. He ain't negotiated his contract. He ain't called Savania. He ain't called me. He ain't called Takora. He ain't called Summer. He ain't called none of the lawyers I know. Whew, we wasn't lawyers back then. We was probably 3 years old, but that's beside the point. Beside the point. We was being. They asked him about Mike. They asked Mike about Scottie. That was his boy. He looked dead at the reporter and he said, oh yeah, Scottie left. I'm looking forward to it. He said, I'm looking forward to it. Do you know what kind of beast you gotta be for people to come into you with all types of negative information and you look back at them and you like, oh, I'm looking forward to it. I eat difficult for breakfast. For lunch, I'm already on impossible. For snacks, I deal with every doubt I got. And for water, I just drink impossible because honestly, there is greater in me than he that is in the world. Yo, those ain't just words, y'all. That's real. So he told him, Scotty, I'm looking forward to it. No sweat. Be, do, have. You start your journey of getting everything you want in life by deciding that you are that person now. Now, we have a doctor in the building. She's actually a brain scientist, and she's the best to ever do it. And she's going to come and speak to you guys after this and give you the science of all of that. I'm going to interview her, and then we're going to do something called a dreamer's den. It ain't like nothing you've ever done before. And the truth is, what's going to happen is I'm going to give you all an opportunity. If you don't like what you see around you, I'm going to give you a chance to go somewhere else. And when you open your eyes, you're going to have the chance to live out that thing now. And now some of you are like, Ashley, this all sounds very theoretical, but with my intellectual brain and all my degrees, I'm still confused about how can I be something if I don't have what I need to be the thing? It doesn't make sense, Ashley. How can I say I have a $10 million business if right now in my bank account I only have $30,000? It don't make sense. Faith doesn't make sense all the time. But here's how you do it practically. Y'all ready? Y'all want the formula? All right. Real life situation, because these are real life business issues. And I already told y'all in the Facebook group when I ain't have my makeup on and stuff, I was going to be real raw, tell y'all some stories, all the things. So catch up. Here we go. Had a situation. Another lawyer was using my trademark. Made it even worse. Knew the lady. She knew me. Had to call, say, hey, stop using my stuff, you know it's mine. She says, well, you know, I filed for it first and you're not gonna do anything and da-da-da-da. And I called my dad, because he dealt with ignorant folks way longer than me. And so, I mean, he has great people in his life too, but I'm just saying life and experience. So I called him and I was like, Dad, this lady is doing all this stuff. He said, some people you just gotta show. He said, some people you just gotta sue because they don't understand. I was like, bet. I'm suing her. Took 2 years, took several tens of thousands of dollars. At the end of it, she wanted, you know, to end it or whatever. Because it was costing her too much time. But at the point that I write a check, I'm not worried about it no more. Because as soon as it happened, I asked myself, what would $1 billion Ash do? She wouldn't play around with this chump. She ain't worried about these. I ain't gonna say the word because y'all know. Audrey know the words. I ain't messing with these. You know what I mean? So I sued a lady 2 years, case going nowhere, just back and forth. But I don't gotta go to none of the meetings because I got a lawyer. So I tell the lawyer, hey, update me once a week. If anything crazy happens, call me. But other than that, I'm off it. You'll get your money. They sue 2 years. She wants to end it. Being means at the time, I don't think I was even, I definitely hadn't hit 2 million. At the time, I wasn't the size company that would ordinarily customarily sue somebody that's playing in your face. But I didn't make the decision from where I was at. I made the decision from who I actually am. Where you are at is not who you are. I could go to a hospital right now. It don't make me a doctor. Where I'm at is a location. It is not an identity. But when we allow our money, our position to be our identity, then all we can do is try to hustle backwards. Let me show you what hustling backwards looks like, because I know some of y'all are taking notes. And you're like, okay, hustling backwards. We got the player and the pessimist. We got this be do have situation. Okay, I think we're on framework number 2. I'm just trying to follow from my notes. Hustling backwards. Write that down. Hustlin, comma, backwards. Hustle backwards look like only when I have will I do. And then from a position of do, I'm going to try to be. So I'm going to have a $1 billion company, but only when I get a $1 billion company will I do $1 billion company things. And then only when I start doing $1 billion company things will I have. But how many of you know that there comes a point in business where you could do that little business stuff like that, pre-sale stuff, like I'm gonna just sell it, then I'm gonna make it, and then maybe people will buy it, but maybe they won't buy it, and then maybe if they don't buy it, then I'm okay. That was good in month 1 of my business. But at this point, if I sell something, it's getting bought. So I have to have that asset, meaning I gotta be the person who has sold the asset before I sell it, because the person that sold it already got the team, already has the system, already has the coaches and advice to get it. But if you're making all your decisions from have, this is why you feel like you're hustling backwards. Here's what it looks like. I post every now and then. If I'm on your block, say block. It looks like I pitch every now and then. If I'm on your block, say. It looks like I'll raise my prices once I have more clients. But then you want to be $1 million business, but you gotta wait till you have more clients. But if you ain't got no clients, ain't nobody giving you no money, which means you ain't gonna be no $1 million business. You hustling backwards, baby. You hustling backwards. You know what I'm saying? Have, do, be. This is what it looks like. Offer 1 doesn't sell, so I just make an offer 2. Coach 1 don't work out. Oh, it's not working. I'm going to just go find another coach. They ad said it only takes 3 steps to make $1 million. They got a system over there. 3 steps. Why would they need 12 months to teach you 3 little old measly steps? Child, that's an ad, boo. That stuff ain't real. Ain't no 3 steps. Hustling backwards. You like, well, I would hire the coach who I know operates in excellence, but I gotta have more clients before I hire that coach. Well, good luck working with the coaches that don't operate in excellence and don't charge the rates that excellent coaches charges, because guess what you're gonna have? The same thing they got. I just thought, I could still, I don't know, I'm getting a little aggressive up here. Shalonda, my vocal coach who's in my mastermind, told me not to yell so much. Let me whisper something. If y'all don't stop hustling backwards, all your efforts gonna be backwards. You know how in that video they said you is kind, you is smart, you is important? Well, guess what? You better start acting like you kind, and you smart, and you important. Because I'm gonna tell you something else. Most of y'all are like, I want a community, I want to lead. Guess what? People start following you before you have a Facebook group, and that's not a community. A Facebook group is a location. It is not a community. A community is a feeling, and you only are able to give a feeling when you're able to regulate your own feelings. Be, then do, then have. I struggled for so long with working out, y'all. If I'm on your block, say block. Don't leave me out there. Big girls. Where my big girls at? You know what I mean? We in the building. I'm still plus size, baby. I ain't down to a 12 yet. But I'm working on it. This suit a little loose. Struggled so long for working out. Trying to read my way to good weight. I'm reading every dieting for dummies, plant-based living for dummies. I'm sitting up here like, why would I buy a book that's calling me a dummy? But you know why I bought it? Because if they could teach a dummy, they gotta be able to teach me. It's gotta be an easy standard. I got that book, Plant-Based Eating for Dummies. That book was so thick, I said, can't no dummy read all these pages. What? Y'all, I read 1 page, and don't judge me, because y'all know y'all got them beautiful bookshelves, and y'all done read 1 page of some of them books. It's okay. I like the way they look. I like to travel with at least 10 books I'm not going to read and one that I might think about reading. Just in case. I just need it. It's a safety net. It's like I need a seat for my support books. You know what I mean? Y'all, Lunchavel's a real comedian. I shouldn't be cracking all these jokes. Okay, be do have. I'm reading all these books. One line said this: you will not start working out consistently and eating right consistently until you become a person that works out. So stop saying I'm going to work out and say I work out. This morning it was hard to sleep because the night before my speeches, I get downloads about what I'm supposed to say. I wake up, it had to be like, I don't know what time I text my amazing assistant. I think 11, maybe midnight, I don't know, it was late. And I was like, I need this. I need this thing from Walgreens. And she's like, okay, all right. I'll get it, figure it out. Because I needed it. But I'm reading all these books like you have to actually become that identity. You have to become a person that works out. You work out. So because I was back and forth with my sleep, I got a couple of good hours, more than usual during an event, but I did not hit my 8 hours for those of you who follow me in my stories. But I got okay, you saw that? All right, good, clean, thank you, locked in. All right, so literally, I didn't hit my 8 hours of sleep, but I woke up this morning and it was 4:30 and I was wrestling back and forth and I was like, you know what? I should go work out because I work out. And this morning, you all, being totally transparent here, I have never run more than 5 minutes consecutively since probably high school. And in my mind, that was my cap. Like, once I hit 5 minutes, I'm gonna be tired and I'm gonna have to walk the rest of the way. So in my mind, that was my cap. So I'm on the treadmill, but I'm listening to, first off, none of y'all was in the gym. That's number one. That's okay. It's day one, y'all was traveling in tomorrow. Maybe some of y'all meet me at the gym. Probably gonna be there around 5:30. Okay. So I'm on this treadmill and I'm listening to Tasha Cobbs, I'm Getting Ready for Overflow, right? And I'm listening to it. Duval, you got that song? Getting Ready for Overflow? Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard the kinds of blessings that's about to fall on me. Victory is here. Kick defeat out the door. So I'm on the treadmill. It's one white guy in the gym. That man over there, he had to be thinking he didn't know what I was. Now, normally I listen to like my Erica Mason, like, do it anyway, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm a champion, you know what I mean? But I was like, no, I need Tasha. I just haven't seen. Time I looked up, y'all, I had ran for 10 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, 10 minutes, whoa, this is crazy. And I'm still on the treadmill. So I'm like, this is crazy. But I only set the machine for 5 minutes because I had never run longer than 10 minutes. So I was like, okay, now I'm in cool down. So I was on 3.3 on the incline for those of you that got treadmills. And I was running at the speed 3.3. But when you go into cool down, it starts automatically slowing you down. And I was like, no, I had momentum. Why is it slowing down? It's because my expectation was too low. So the machine actually forced me to stop when my feet was still going. And because the machine wasn't helping me no more, now no matter how fast I run, I've lost my rhythm. Because I thought I couldn't make it longer than I was actually going. So check this out. I didn't get discouraged. I kept moving my feet. I put that machine back on. Tasha on a loop, because you know, I'm the type that when I like a song, I listen to it over and over and over and over again. Chris hates it, I love it, it is a thing, it's our marriage, you know, hey, we work it out. We try to, AirPods saved a lot of confusion in the car. So I start back running. I'm like, okay, this time I'm gonna put it on 30 minutes. I'm like, oh my goodness, 30 minutes, should I do it? I got an event today, I don't know. We put it on 30 minutes. Tasha's still, and I'm on this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, Lord, I'm gonna make it. It's gonna be great. I stopped looking at the machine. I stopped looking at the clock. Y'all, before I knew it, I had ran 30 minutes. And I realized something, you guys. How many goals in your life have you not reached because the last time you tried, you thought you failed? And what you didn't realize is how strong you'd gotten. Because the way this works is if you don't keep taking shots, you don't know what you can do. So the whole time, all your shots is like this. Because it's safe and you know you'll make it. And when you know you'll make it, you don't have to deal with the embarrassment of it not working out. But when the shot gets more difficult, dang, I'm still making it. Okay, didn't plan that. Hey, let me find out. Oh, dang. It's crazy over here. Right, great work. Y'all see that run and talk? You know your girl been in the gym. Last year couldn't have happened. Never would have made it. So you keep taking your shots. And then you miss one. And you think you missed it, so you stop. So because back here you didn't make it, now all your shots is up close. So every now and then, you gotta hit the backboard. Every now and then you gotta miss so you know where your limits are. And if you make it from a certain spot, go back higher. Go back further, shoot it again. And if you make it from that spot, then you realize, hold on, this may be too low of a rim. So if they raise the rim, would I still make it? See, now you're testing yourself. One of Michael Jordan's coaches said what he loved about him was this. If he told him to do 12 reps, he knew he would do more. How many of you, when your coach tells you to do a number, you always try to beat it? You cannot have what you will not first become. I told someone about this event. All the stuff y'all see. This event is put on as though there are thousands of you in this room. Because our event grows before the audience grows. Every single year. Because I am already running an event that sells out stadiums. I am already running a program that has thousands of successful women. I am only in a location where it doesn't look like that's happening yet. But please do not be confused. This is the premier and best coaching firm for experts around the world because our standard is excellence. So I want y'all to do this with me one time. Y'all cool with it? And we're going to have to come back to this because we talk about prodigies. Some of the characteristics of a prodigy, and I'm going to go real quick. Give me 5 minutes on the clock. The characteristics of a prodigy is this. Michael Jordan is undoubtedly a prodigy, but he also dealt with grief. When his dad passed, he left the Chicago Bulls. He went to play baseball. He said that was a game his dad always told him to play. Now, eventually, he went back to basketball for a season. But when grief happened, he said it was the thought that he was able to hang on to was at least my dad saw me play my last game. That belief system got him through a season. He inevitably was able to go back. How many of you have been through grief? Raise your hands. I lost someone very close to me this year. But what I loved about that is you can be a prodigy and you can go through grief. He also went on to say that one of the things he did was that he focused on a champion mindset. His mindset was very simple. If you do not want to play the game to win, get off the court. Anyone who went in opposition to that was in direct opposition to his belief system, and he treated them as such. Champion behavior. The other thing, he understood how to lead a team, and he led them by pushing them to their personal best and greatness, but he knew, this was the line I loved, he said, my team knows I would never ask them to do anything that I would not do. If you're a coach and you're asking people to invest with you, but you don't invest, you're asking your team to do stuff you don't do. I will always have someone who is helping me to remain accountable to the highest version of myself. Spent over $300,000 in it. Somebody whistled. I love y'all. They're like, $300,000. I mean, I was with you until she said 300. Oh my gosh. But then in addition to the prodigies, you have your players. Now, your players are people like Scotty. When Scotty was personally offended at the terms of the contract that he signed, it affected his game. It affected how he showed up for his team. And when here's what's always interesting. The players always want to be prodigies. And when Mike left, there was an opening for Scotty to be the prodigy. And you know what he did? When his coach offended him one time, and that dude was not offensive, let's be clear. His coach offended him one time. Scotty, they asked him to get back in the game in the fourth quarter, and he sat down. Refused to go back in the game. Because he's a player. See, players are sometimesy. Maybe, maybe not. It's all about how they feel. Sometime he can't be trusted. Because you don't know what they're going to do. You know what we're going to do? Win. Keep going. Keep putting on events. It's 10 people there. Oh my God, no one wants to come. So what? I'm going to do it anyway. Well, I don't know. Events are really expensive. So what? I'm going to do it anyway. But players are sometimes, and what's so interesting, and this is just my speculation, my imagination, because Michael left his team, but there was a number 2 that could have stepped up and been a prodigy. He thought he was okay, and every now and then he'd watch the game, and when he was watching the game, I imagine that Michael was like, oh my God, my team needs me, because no one stepped up to be the prodigy. So Mike, being a real coach, went back. There was a time I thought I was going to leave coach, and I was like, oh no, all these people and all their personalities, Lord, you know not to call me a pastor because I ain't the one. My husband was in seminary, and I failed the first lady test. They was like, ma'am, the first ladies work with the children. I was like, I ain't got no kids, and I ain't watching yours. They was like, well, ma'am, if you love Jesus. I was like, first off, let me be real clear, because everybody say Jesus, everybody say God. The God I serve does not require me to invest all my time in a skill set that will not give him ultimate glory. They were like, ma'am, that is not in the First Lady handbook. You are denied. I told Chris, I'm like, baby, I don't know, baby. This ain't going to work out. There's some players that sometimes, but the whole time players want to be prodigies. So Scotty sitting here looking at Mike, don't like how people treating Mike, and Scotty signed a contract, a long-term deal that was bad for him. And the owner of the team told him, don't sign this. This is too long-term of a deal. You're going to be grossly underpaid. And here's what happens in the NBA, y'all. You sign a contract. If it's a long-term contract, even as your star and your acclaim rises, you don't get more money if you sign a 7 or 9 year deal. He didn't like the deal that he signed. He wanted them to renegotiate the deal that he signed, but he signed the deal. He did what? He signed the deal. He signed a bad deal. He didn't keep his word, though, because whenever he didn't feel like it, he didn't play. But he was super talented and could have been a prodigy, but his mindset wouldn't let him. Then you got your pessimists. Really? These folks ain't even on the court. They hating from outside the club. They can't even get in. These are your reporters, your bloggers, your news people, your gossip specialists, the people who call you on the phone to talk about the business they had for 15 years that ain't made no money, but yet they know everything you're supposed to do with your business. These are the pessimists. That's who they are. Oh, my baby said I got to chill out. All right. Let's do this before we go. We'll come back to this. I want you all to remember this. Be, do, have. We got 3 days together. I can't give y'all too much too soon. So let's do this. Y'all with me? Say with you. Y'all still ready to get coached? Say coach me. When life gets hard, I want you to repeat this. Do it anyway, okay? Let's practice. When it gets hard. When it's easy. When you want to. When you don't want to. This do it anyway is giving, not champion. Now, y'all said I could coach you. We got to do this right. Because some of y'all need, stand up. Standing actually brings energy in the room. And I want you all to know that you have entered a room that has been prayed over and prepared for. I want you to know that you've entered a room with a coach that really does believe anything can happen. I'm the type to believe that in just a weekend, we can change the world. Turn me down on the music a little bit. I believe that in 3 days, with less than 300 people, we can change the world. Because if you start being the ultimate version of yourself, the doing gets easy. And the having is a byproduct of the being. It is not a prerequisite for the being. So when I say, when it gets hard, and y'all say, do it anyway, I want y'all to say it like you are saying it and yelling it for every challenge that tried to take you out. Got it? When it gets hard. Do it anyway. When you don't feel like like it. When you're going through some things in your life. When you lost people you love. When your friends ain't giving you friend vibes. When your own mind is your biggest enemy. When you feel like you got too much on your plate. And when you think it won't work. You know what? There's a song I listen to every day when I worked out. And the hook was "Do It Anyways." For the entire year, I listened to a song and it just said, "Do it anyway, do it anyway, do it anyway, do it anyway, do it anyway." Erica, you think you can help us out?
High, excuses, low, energy, high, excuses, low, energy, high, excuses, low, energy, high, excuses, low. I need energy, need only good people that's around me. All the faith you can give, that's the recipe.